right, if you would go ahead and take out your science journals. This morning we're going to be referring back to the notes that we took the last couple of days in class with Miss Freeland, your science teacher. And what I'm here to do this morning is to help you organize your thinking. If you would take a look at the board, we have posted up here what we're going to call a large graphic organizer. Does anybody know what a graphic organizer is? Yes?
Graphic organizer isn't it used to help you organize your data instead of having it all spread out?
Absolutely. Very well stated. What we're going to do, instead of having everything spread out on a big piece of paper, and then when you begin to start studying those notes, sometimes you might find yourself confused. Instead of that, we're going to help you put it on paper in such a way that it will, we hope, be easier for you to refer back to and easier for you to make sense of it and put it together in preparation for the test that you'll be taking next week. So we're going to begin by looking at the big picture. Everything we've been talking about the last couple of days pertains to plate tectonics. The first thing we want to do, however, is look at some evidence that pertains to continental drift. And I'm going to ask you to help me participate, or you're going to be participating with me in this. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to ask you to be looking at your notes, and you may even need your textbook. But what I'll be doing is giving you, I'll call on different students, and I'll be giving you some strips to come and put up here on the graphic organizer. Remember that you all have been talking about plate tectonics, and there are actually two theories. And what we're going to do today is take the notes that you already have down on paper, and we're going to use some manipulatives, and I've created some little strips to be put up on the board, and you're going to have to help me decide where they belong. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by looking back and referring to your notes. So I'm going to give a group here at this table some strips, and these actually are strips that include information from both theories. So what's going to make this difficult is that you are going to actually have to, as I said, look at your notes and be certain that you know where they belong. Keep in mind, the two theories are plate tectonics includes continental drift as well as seafloor spreading. And so you're actually going to decide, does the information on your table belong in the theory of continental drift, or would it be more appropriate to put it in the theory of seafloor spreading? Okay? So take a couple of minutes, look at the strips. Each of you as a group come to a conclusion, and when you think you're ready, let me know.
Okay.
And there's one piece of evidence and there's the second, so you have them both.
Magnetic evidence I usually should be on seafloor spreading.
So you've got one. So if that's the one piece that belongs with Hess's theory for seafloor spreading, then where would the other two belong?
Well, we have
Fossil, absolutely. Great job. And climatic change. Okay, there were still two other pieces. Was magnetic one of them? No. So then where would this definitely be? Well, that was some great discussion that I heard going on with each group, and you've been able to sort these. So now if I could just have one volunteer from each group come up. Sweetie, if you don't mind. Thank you, Sarah. And then John, yes, you can come up as well. Okay. And if you will put these where they belong on the large graphic organizer. There are actually 4 pieces of evidence for continental drift. Let's see if they have done this correct. Based on our conversations, I think they have. Climatic change, and that is correct. Make sure you're referring to your notes, class. Because if any of these are incorrect, we want to make sure that we can correct it before we put them on our own organizers. And that's going to be the next step. Once we finish here, creating a class model, then we're going to do individual organizers. Age and sediment. Thank you for making that correction. So the 2 for seafloor spreading were age and sediment. and magnetic evidence. And then, of course, looking at continental drift, we had 4 pieces of evidence, and that was the fossil evidence, the climatic change evidence, rock formation evidence, and continental puzzle fit. Now, to extend on that just a little bit more, I actually have some facts that go into explaining what each of these pieces of evidence is all about. Now, these are going to be quite difficult, but I know, based on all of the note-taking we did, that you should be able to put these where they belong. So I'm going to give one to each group. I want you to read it as a group and decide which piece of evidence that this pertains to in reference to continental drift theory. Okay? I have a couple of extra. Actually, I think each group will end up with 2 pieces of evidence here. Now, what your job is now, as you read it, decide as a group where it fits best in the continental drift evidence pieces. Would it be fossil evidence that you're reading about? Would it be rock formation? Would it be climatic change? Or would it be pertaining to continental puzzle fit? Great. It's good to see you referring to your notes. Okay, what about over here? You guys already have it? Okay.
If you have it and you know where it belongs, absolutely. And have you agreed on the others?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why don't you take both of these up? That'd be nice.
Okay. All right, so let's take a look at these pieces of evidence. The first one is fossil evidence, and what we have here is, do you have your ones? Okay, we're going to have to take a look. Most of these are correct. And one is a little bit tricky, and it actually could probably go into both categories, but let's start down here with continental puzzle fit. The continent shape appears to match. When we take a look at the globe, obviously when you look at North America and South America, and then you look over here at another continent that we know as Europe and Asia and Africa, when you try to slide those together, they look like they fit perfectly. And that's why we call this the continental puzzle fit piece of evidence. Because in this theory, well, it looked like at one time it probably fit and joined perfectly together. Here we have rock formation, and the 2 pieces of evidence were broad areas of rock have been found in North America and in Europe of the same kind. And then we have broad areas of rock have been found in Africa and South America that are the same kind. So that is correct. Does everybody understand the pieces of evidence that fit with continental drift? All right, now the next thing I want us to look at are the events of seafloor spreading. We talked earlier of how the seafloor spreading evidence is age and sediment, as well as magnetic evidence. Does anybody want to explain to me what age and sediment evidence means? What is that referring to with seafloor spreading? Age and sediment evidence. Look back at your notes. Age and sediment. And seafloor spreading. Yes, sir.
In the age and sediment evidence, the youngest rocks were closest to the mid-ridge, which that's where the new rocks form. The closest to the continents, those are where the older rocks are.
Brilliant. You did a super job. You took those notes down perfectly. The last thing that we want to look at here on the inside of our organizer are the events of seafloor spreading. But here, it's very important that we put these in the order that they belong. So when we look at seafloor spreading and the theory that came about, can someone explain to me the 3 different pieces of information that we need to add to this in the correct order? Who can tell me what the first one is? And they actually include the pieces of information there for you in the text. You just need to decide what order they belong in. And you have that information from your notes as well. So if you'll look back in your journal, and then also looking on 295, tell me what order these belong in. I'm going to go ahead and write the 3rd one in here. And it's magma rises. And of course, now what I need you to do, who can tell me what the first one's going to be? Yes? The one about convection currents. And this is it. If you'll take it, who knows what the second one is going to be? If you'll just take that up there, sweetie. Thank you. Who can tell me what the second order of seafloor spreading is? Yes, the second one? Right, the seafloor had to spread apart. So if you'll come and take this one and put it up. And then, of course, the third one is the fact that magma rises, and it's actually, thank you, followed by one last piece of information. Yes, ma'am? It forces a new seafloor into place. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have done a swell job up to this point, and now that we've created a model, I'd like to demonstrate to you what we're going to use this information for. You'll see in front of you what we're going to call a foldable. And on the back table we have some paper. In a few moments each of you will be creating your own foldable. In the front we're going to simply call this plate tectonics, and the word is up here for you. When you open your foldable, of course on the inside you'll see that it's going to be patterned exactly like the one we've created as an entire class. You have the information, the evidence pieces for seafloor spreading, followed by the events that occur when the seafloor spreads, and then in the middle we have the second theory, which pertains to continental drift. And here you of course can put pictures as we've done to demonstrate, and I'll be putting some of these examples on the tables for you so that you will have some ideas to go by. You can either draw your own, or we have some pieces of paper back there that have samples of maps and samples of pictures of fossil remains, and you're free to take the scissors and the glue and create those in a manner that are just individualized in a way that works for you, because that's what this is all about. Foldables are just ways to help you create your own individual organized thinking patterns.
The strategy that we modeled today for the science teacher, of course we call it a foldable. It involves several graphic organizers. One even includes a sequencing of events organizer, and the reason that we do that is because children tend to have a difficult time, middle school and high school even more so, in organizing their thoughts. And so of course this allows them the opportunity to be able to put graphic representations as well as short note taking into practice, into play in the classroom. So as we walk around, just having an opportunity to interact with the students and making sure that they're aware that note-taking is very meaningful. It is purposeful, and of course the entire purpose for that is to help them recall and comprehend all that we have studied over such a long period of time. And that's what we hope to accomplish today in the lesson.